welcome to In My Mug, episode 385 on Monday the 28th, I think, of March 2016. I'm your host, Stephen Layton. Welcome to In My Mug, welcome to the news. So news, I am off to China this weekend. So next week's will be recorded there. I've no idea where yet, but somewhere in China, in Shanghai. But it may be a little late because there are firewalls getting data out of China, and I don't know whether I'll be able to use Dropbox or not, and all of those things. But I will endeavour to get it up as soon as possible, so if it's a little late, please bear with me. I hope you all enjoyed last week's In My Mug at the Coffee Works project. I know I did. I really hope that some of you have been in to say hi as well to them there, because it's just an amazing location. I mean, you can see from the filming how busy they are, but it'd be nice to make them a little busier. Like, give them the love of In My Mug. The Stand Art magazine is still available on the site. You should definitely go buy it. It is fantastic. We're very, very pleased with how many we sold. We don't have too many left, but you should go and snap up the last few. And that was the news. Time for Focus On, and this week it's going to be on Peaberries. So I searched the internet for what a description of a Peaberry, and I came up with that Peaberries are prized for their richer, more intense flavour, and that the annual crop only produces a small number of Peaberries. And that's kind of true, that it produces a small amount. I'm not so sure about the richer and kind of, more intense. Well, there's some good Peaberries, some bad Peaberries, just like there is everything. And they are rare because, typically the Peaberry crop will be about 5-10%. It can be up to 20% with certain varietals, which are kind of weighted towards having more peas, but really you're looking between 5 and 10% as the normal amount. And what happens is, inside a coffee cherry you have two, what they call pistils, and basically these are the things that the seeds grow on. And sometimes one of those pistils misfires, and it means only one bean forms in the cherry. And because it doesn't have any partner to push against, it kind of turns round, and they're much kind of smaller and more intense, I guess. But I don't have that. But because there is only one seed, it is thought that more nutrients can go into it and all the rest of it. But again, I don't subscribe to it. Some are good, some are bad. This week's is obviously good, otherwise I wouldn't be bringing it to you. But I've tasted lots that aren't. Anyway, let's stop talking about it, let's go and taste it. That was Focus On. So this week's coffee comes from the Bibi plantation in India, and is called Indian Bibi Peaberry Bold, to give it his full title. The farm is 5 hours drive towards the coast from Bangalore and lies in a small town called Catucai, which has a very small population, about 20-25,000 people, and is amongst the Korg hills of southern India. And it really is in the heart of the growing region called Karnataka. And there are lots of small and medium-sized farms. It's actually fairly low altitude. I mean, you quite often hear me talk about 1,800, 1,900 metres, and this is 600 to 800 metres above sea level. It just goes to show again that altitude doesn't mean all of that. This is a 250-acre plantation. Now, that's a medium-sized farm for India, but that's pretty big. And has been in the Musakatu, I can't pronounce it, sorry. I'm sorry, Fayaz. In Fayaz's family since 1960. Fayaz took over in 1990, and ever since then has been going on like a replanting, rebuilding, reinvesting, and he lives on the farm with his two children, Rihanna and Tara, and his wife, who is Sonia. I think it's fair to say that Fayaz is a little bit of a environmentalist. We had a very long talk about how he loves shade, and how shade just not only helps the coffee tree but helps the habitat, so he gets lots of birds, lots of insects. The interesting story he's telling me about the elephants sometimes just wander through as well from the neighbouring forest. which I guess doesn't happen so much in Stafford, but must happen a lot more there. And although he's not organic certified, he doesn't use any chemicals, he doesn't use any weed killers, he does everything by hand. So basically if there's weeds, he goes and him and his workers go and pull them out. And he does a lot of composting. He's using animal manure and things, and he's been doing this way before it was really cool and trendy. And he's also using the waste pulp of the cherries as well to fertilise the farm. The help he has on the farm, he has about 100 people who work on the plantation, and around about 50 of them live actually on the farm, where he provides free housing, free electricity, free medical assistance. He has free education, and he's basically if people need to borrow money, he has a system set up where he can do real loans, but low cost loans. And one of the things that stuck with me when Fayaz came last time, we were talking about all of these things, and I said, it must be a lot of work to be able to run a farm, but then also to run a mini village. He says it's kind of like looking after a family of 100 people. And I like that idea that he's treating everybody like his family, because that's kind of what we try to do here at Has Been, is we have a very family approach to doing it. But yeah, anyway, we should get into the figures. The farm is called Bibi. It is in India. The varietal is red Catucai. It is fully washed and dried on patios. It's altitude of 600 to 800 metres above sea level. It is owned by Fayaz and his family. The nearest town is Sunti, and it's in the Catucai state. Okay, that's enough mispronunciations for me. It's time for this week's map bit. So here I am waving, always waving. And we're going up and away, and we're going to go up to see the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom of these great British Isles. And instead of going across the Atlantic, we're going the other way. Oh my God, something's happening. Something weird's happening. And we're going to go and look at India and is Asia a continent? I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure it is. But we're going to go down to India, which is a huge country, as you can see. And interestingly, India consumes about half of the world's whiskey. And I consume the other half, personally. So, yeah, interesting little factette there. We're going down to the details, and we can see the different states there. I mean, this is a huge place. You kind of don't get the scale of India until you really start looking at maps and how large it is. Let's go down to the plantation. And this little dot here is Fayaz's house. That's how much detail we have. Beautifully groomed. You can see there's some plantation parts there. So this is the plantation where the coffee and the pepper grown side by side, and that's his house. You can't get any more exact than that, really, can you? When you can kind of that might even be his bedroom. But yeah, so that's the detail that we have for the map bit for this one. Which is nice when we can kind of get right into those little bits. And let's look at the lowest points of India. So the lowest point is the ocean, the Indian Ocean, I guess. And then Hashia Junga, which is 8,598 metres above sea level, which is quite high, isn't it? And that was the weird map bit. Hope that was interesting and fun. But now it's time for something that won't be interesting or fun. It's time for Roland's Daft Fact of the Week. India is one of the few countries in the world where coffee production is still growing. This year expected to be around 3.5 million tonnes. Grow, India, grow! That was an interesting fact from Roland. That's because Roland didn't find out the fact and I did. All the interesting ones are mine. Anyway, speaking of interesting, it's time for me to go and get interesting coffee. Just see the tenuous link there. Why am I still coughing? Yeah, that's the coffee grinding right now, and I'll be back with you in just a second. we are back. Let's go into the espresso. So, Indian coffee. We don't have so much Indian coffee. This is the only Indian coffee I've ever liked. We had, actually no, that's not true. We had another one which was a biodynamic, which I can't think where it was from. Balmadi, and that was fantastic. This is equally as good. And Fayaz is amazing. So, in the espresso, I'm getting actually lots of dark chocolate, which I don't normally get. Real dark chocolate, but there's a leathery kind of, just in a really good way, a kind of leather stroke tobacco. But then it goes into this dark chocolate, and then a beautiful nuttiness. I mean, it just finishes really, really well. I know it's called Indian Peaberry Bold, and it's really cheesy to say this is really bold coffee. It's very kind of big, but it's really big and it's really bold. And I think it is going to absolutely excel here. And it does. You get all of those big coffee notes, you get a really big coffee flavour come through, but you also get a sweetness of the milk mixing with it, and that nuttiness really comes through in the aftertaste. It's really like roasted hazelnuts. It's fantastic. It really is fantastic cappuccino. And then into the brood. Now for once, I'm going to say I don't think it performs as well in the brood. Maybe I screw up the brood a little, but it's not as good. It's a little kind of, the leather is definitely there, the tobacco is definitely there, some of the sweetness is lost and the dark chocolate isn't prevalent, but really as an espresso and cappuccino based coffee, it is phenomenal. It really is. I know this is going to divide some opinion, this coffee. I hope you give it a chance. I hope you will be open-minded towards it, because it really is a fantastic coffee. And I'm very, very happy that we have this relationship with Fayaz. Okay, we are done. Time to wrap up. Thank you for joining me, as always. And do remember, life is definitely too short